Hello, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we will discuss the basis of structural design, and these are the content which will be covered in this lecture. So first topic is the design consideration. In this, we will consider the various factors which are being considered before designing any building or any structure. Then we will discuss about the various steps which are being involved in the design process. Then we will see the structural systems that are being existed in the design of structure. Then we will discuss more about the structural integrity and why it is required in the design of structure and its significance. Then we will see the process of analysis and design, and at last the codes and specification that will be required in this course. So all these content will be discussed in this lecture. So the structural design, although it is reasonably scientific, it is also a creative process. The aim of a structural designer is basically to design a structure in such a way that it fulfills its intended purpose during its intended lifetime, and also it should be adequately safe. So in the structural design, there are some design considerations which are being considered before the design of any structure. So first consideration is strength. So in the structural design, safety is of paramount importance in any structure, and therefore it requires that the possibility of collapse of the structure, whether it is partial or total, is acceptably low. Not only under normal expected load, which is the service load the building is carrying, it should also not collapse under less frequent load. So less frequent load may be uh, earthquake load or extreme wind load or any accidental load, say a blast or impact. So therefore the structure should be strong enough to resist all such loads. So another aspect related to safety is structural integrity and stability, which means that the structure as a whole should be stable under all conditions, even if a portion of it is affected or collapses. The remaining parts should be able to redistribute the loads. So in other words, the progressive failure should be minimized. So I will explain that with an example. For example, there is a structure. So these vertical members are column and horizontal members are beam. So suppose this member, this column is failing. So if the column collapses, then it is not desirable that the other elements connected to it, like this beam or other columns or the whole building collapse. So this, if it happens, then it will be called progressive failure. So our main aim is that we should design our building such that this progressive failure is minimized, or it should not occur. So technically it is desirable that if this column fails, then the load which this column was carrying will be redistributed to the other members, say the other three column. So the column, I mean the load this column was carrying, it should be minimized. I mean it should be redistributed to this column and this column using these beams. So if this happens, then we can say that our aim of structural integrity and stability will be fulfilled. Then the serviceability. The serviceability is related to the utility of the structure. It means that the structure should perform satisfactorily under the service loads without any discomfort to the user due to uh, excessive deflection or cracking, or due to vibrations or many other phenomena. So the other considerations of serviceability may be durability or impermeability to the in the structure? Well, one thing to note here is that a design which adequately satisfies the safety requirement may not satisfy the serviceability requirement. For example, if we consider an I-beam at the roof level, it may have sufficient stiffness to carry the applied load, but it may result in excessive deflection, which will lead to the cracking of the slab, and it is supporting, which will result in the loss of permeability. So I will explain this with an example. So for example, if there is a beam, say this is an I-beam, and this beam is supporting a slab. So if the load comes on this beam like this, what will happen? This beam will deflect like this, and if the beam will deflect, then the slab which is supported or which is on this beam will also deflect like this. So if the slab will deflect, then what will happen? The cracks may occur in the slab, and if these cracks are left open, then these cracks will attract the moisture from the environment, and if the moisture enters into the cracks, then there are vulnerability of the reinforcement of the slab. So ultimately it will lead to the corrosion. So that is why it is not it is not always that if a structure is satisfying the safety requirement, it will also satisfy the serviceability requirement. So we have to check both of these requirements separately. Then here I would say that by increasing the margin of safety, it may enhance the safety and serviceability, but it will increase the cost of the structure. For overall economy, one should look into not only the initial cost, but also the life cycle cost and the long-term environmental effect. So for example, sometimes people may think that using a very high strength steel uh, to reduce the weight of structure, but this will not reduce the cost of structure. Why? Because of the increased unit price of the high strength steel, and therefore it will make the lighter design more costly. In bridges and buildings, the type of corrosion and fire protection that are selected by the structural designer, this will greatly influence the economy of the structure. So therefore, economy is also a very important aspect of the design consideration, and it is being taken care of by both architects and structural engineers. The construction of any structure involves many steps, although the structural designer is not responsible for each of these steps, which I will discuss here, but structural designers should be involved in most of them so that the resulting structure is safe, stable, serviceable, durable, and economically viable. So in the first step, the plan and elevation is received from the architect. So here, architect is supposed to make plan sections and elevations of structure. So in this step, the form, shape, and size of the structure are determined by the architect. Then in the next step, the soil report of the area where the structure is supposed to be constructed is prepared by the geotechnical engineer. Geotechnical engineer conducts tests on the on the concerned area where the building is to be constructed, and then he prepared the report. So the report basically surface some important information of the area, such as the bearing capacity of the soil, the type of soil there, and say shear strength of the soil, water table, uh, something like that. So all these data is being provided in the soil report. So after getting the plan and elevation from the architect and soil report from the geotechnical engineer, the structural designer estimates the probable loads that will be acting on the structure. So these probable loads may be the dead load of the building, of the structure, live load on the building, wind load, earthquake load, etc. Then the structural engineer arrive at the structural system after comparing various possible systems. Then a suitable structural analysis, mostly with the help of computer, is done to determine the internal forces acting on various elements of the structural systems. And based on the various loads and thereby and based on various loads and the load combinations. So while analyzing the structure engineer consider the critical loading conditions, and based on that, size of various structural elements such as beam, column, slabs, etc. are determined using or by following the Cordell provision. Cordell provision means by following the some standard codes which any country provides. So in India, there are codes. We will discuss about them in the later slides. Then the detailed structural drawings are prepared, and once again by following the Cordell provision. And then these drawings are approved by the structure engineer. Then the estimator calculate the quantity which are involved in the initial cost of constructions. So these estimators are basically the people who estimates the quantities which will be involved in the construction of any structure, and the initial cost of construction. They estimate all these things. So this is the step. In the next step, then the contractor who is going to construct the building. So this contractor, based on the structural drawing, will prepare the fabrication and erection drawing and a bill of quantity of materials. So fabrication means the process of making sections. Say for example, in the market, hot rolled I sections are available. So these hot rolled I sections are can be used for up to a limited load. So if we have a very large load, so to carry that large load, the sections in the market may not be available. So in that case, the fabricators has to make those sections using the connections, maybe using the weldings. So fabricator drawings are basically the drawings which provides the information about the size of the plates which are being used to make any section, say in case of I section or any other sections. Erection drawings suffice the detail of the construction process or the erection process through which any elements which will be erected on any place in the construction site. And BOQ is basically it is basically a bill of quantity material. The quantity and the material which is being used, it will suffice the detail of those quantities and the rate of those quantities. So the structure engineer will again approve these drawings, these fabrication and the erection drawings. Then the contractor constructs the building based on the specifications given by the architect or the project manager. Then the structural engineer, again with the help of quality control inspector, inspects the work of the fabricator and erector to ensure that structure has been fabricated, erected in accordance with his or her design and specifications. So once the building is fully constructed, it is handed over to the owner or the client. Then The owner appoints suitable consultants and contractors to maintain the building till its intended life. So this is the basic process of the design which is being followed while constructing any building or any structure. So in the next part, we will discuss the basis of structural systems. Thank you.